Texas Tech. 3, 2, 1, go! And the kickoff is going to be favoring, indeed, Texas Arlington. Adverse open net, off the bar, down and out. Poor start. You'd love to have it back.
And a lot of the offense, I mean, that was unfortunate for Adverse, but a lot of the offense is driven through Adverse, whether he's the one taking the shot or the man in the midfield that creates the opportunity for either of his teammates. He's a big player to watch. The desk talked about it just for a second, but he's a huge player to watch as someone who always has a lot of intent behind the ball.
Yes, definitely a dangerous mechanical player in Adverse with a great supporting cast with Samba and Genghis. A bit of a stretch here trying to shoot the gap in between all three defenders on the Texas Tech goal line. Adverse just missing that pass into the middle. A nice little bump on Flashosaurus means Genghis has a chance. Khan able to get up there in time. Samba wave dash misses, pulls Khan out, and still makes the save. Adverse probably should have been able to get that one around the defense, but you got to give a lot of credit to Khan for somehow pulling that one out.
Yeah, but I think unfortunately for Texas Tech, those were two goals that UTA should have scored. The first one from Adverse. Now here maybe another one. If they can make the save, Space Kitten can't do it. And Adverse gets the first goal for UTA.
Yeah. Space Kitten here having a real tough go of this one. Definitely pulled out, expecting
good idea.
Maybe. But yeah, you're right. I thought initially he was expecting that double tap to come through, but yeah, up the backboard, actually the much smarter play. Gave him a decent look at it. Just not a lot of space to work with, and the timing is a very delicate thing when you go for those saves off the backboard. So close call for Space Kitten. And the first goal, finally, over to the Mavericks of Texas Arlington.
And what's tough when you look at Texas Tech is they've had a very hard schedule here. In their first 3 out of their 4 games, they've had to play LSU, North Texas. Now they're having to play UTA. Ooh. And so they've had a very difficult start here. And there's another goal dropping in for Samba.
And they have had a tough start, and it gets harder here as Khan has to do a little dance with Adverse on the goal line, and definitely a little bit afraid of getting bumped there. Split his attention, can't make the play on a slow approaching ball, and an easy second goal for the Mavericks.
That lead already becoming a concern now for the Raiders as they find themselves down 2 goals again. It feels like maybe it should have been more. Here's Space Kid, might be able to cut it in half, and he does. Well played from Texas Tech as they get their first.
Samba absolutely toast here. No boost in the corner, only 20 to work with. Rotating, has to defend the big part of the net, but what are you gonna do when that ball gets rocked at you 79 miles per hour right over your head? No chance for Samba, and a nice way to cut the lead in half, as you said, for the Red Raiders. Adverse. The ball taken off his nose from Space Kitten in the corner. And Texas Tech starting to shove, and they will get a second one back in fairly fine fashion.
Well, and I will say this for Texas Tech. This bodes well for them, now converting on 2 very solid opportunities for them, something that UTA has struggled to here in this game. And it's coming back to bite them now, all tied up in the first 2 minutes. You felt like UTA might have started running away with it. But as you can see, Texas Tech get a couple of good looks, and all of a sudden they're back in it.
Genghis and Adverse trying to figure out who needs to take the ball. Samba will just buy time, hoping that would go in the back of the net, but off the backboard. Flashosaurus put in the same position of buying time. Is Space Kitten actually able to win the ball out? Genghis struggling to get a hand on it on his own half. Means Adverse now in charge, and he also has trouble commanding the ball in the corner, so Texas Arlington kind of getting a little tongue-tied here in their own corner. Khan out into the middle. Space Kitten can't quite get the wheels on it. Flashosaurus just trying to take the ball away and waste some precious moments here and hopefully continue to throw off the defense.
Good spot from Texas Tech, and they're really putting the hurt on UTA now. That's a good pass out. Nobody there from the orange side of the pitch, unfortunately. But you're seeing Texas Arlington definitely struggling to generate that offense that we saw early on in the first 45 seconds or so. Texas Tech have done a great job of keeping possession and keeping the chances limited now.
Samba having to dodge a demo, and the speed of Khan trying to keep this ball jammed in the midfield is towards that Texas Tech goal. Adverse trying to find a spot on the backboard to work with. Timing it is Flashosaurus with a nice long clear. Samba going to try and take his own version of time, really having to stretch past the midfield line. It's a pretty flat ball right into Space Kitten's nose. Pass up to Khan and almost into the goal. Adverse just a little late, but just enough behind it to tip the ball to safety. And you were right, Texas Tech really squeezing Texas Arlington on their own half, struggling to retain possession with those clears. They don't feel like they're having to try too hard to find them on the Maverick side. It's really just how do they hang on to the ball after they make the clear.
Yeah, I've been flipping through the Texas Arlington players. It's been a little painful for them to find boost coming out of their own end, and that's credit to Texas Tech, not only soaking it up, but just putting them in situations where it takes a lot of boost to get out of, and they have no more to break out downfield. And you're seeing that even
nice.
now. Genghis has none. Samba's out here with the ball, and unfortunately he's going to have to cough it up.
Ooh, that's a nice demo to try and buy more time. Adverse little stutter step in the corner, trying to bump Space Kitten off the ball. An easy clear for Khan, uncontested on his goal line as Adverse continues to try and take some extra time to really work some magic down in front. Khan, the first one to it, Adverse late. Genghis in charge of just keeping the pressure on and does an excellent job of denying a nice clear from Space Kitten on a plate for Samba. Khan makes a great read. Huge push up the field, but Genghis again back in time, and that's 2 big plays out of midfield for him as overtime looming here in game 1. Straight up above the goal, Flashosaurus to clear. Samba and Texas Arlington trying to get their hands on the ball for one last look. Khan into the blue corner. Samba needs a nice touch. Skims the scaling. Right down to Space Kitten. It's high. Flashosaurus is there. And it actually floats in. Everybody misses the ball. And Space Kitten going to take game 1 for the Red Raiders.
How does this go in for Space Kitten? You felt like the defense should have been there, and Genghis just couldn't get to it in time. And I don't even know. It was hard to tell if that was even supposed to be the plan with that touch. But Texas Tech, regardless, a much better game after the first minute or so where they really picked up the pace, started playing towards UTA, and again, Achieves, I mentioned it before we jumped into this series, these are the types of games that scare me if I'm a fan for Texas Arlington, because that was a game that could have gotten out of hand for Texas Tech. I don't know if they could have got themselves out of the hole, but UTA couldn't put the shots away. They had plenty of opportunity, and it came back to bite them.
Yeah, definitely a lot of great opportunities at the start of that game, especially even off the kickoff. I think it was Adverse who could have scored a goal off the rip, but unfortunately not able to get all the way under the ball. And you were right, it does come back to haunt them, and that last goal is definitely going to be sitting in their mind as they go into game 2, because you're right, the defense should have been there. I think just caught up a little bit too much and thinking someone was going to get a double tap and not thinking about the fact that the ball's in the goal. And so game 2 begins on a sour note as Samba is demoed and Genghis is forced to dribble into a really awkward spot. Space Kitten with a great touch, but the offense too far back for Texas Tech. And Space Kitten, a well-timed delay in front of his goal, will continue to frustrate that UTA offense.
And I feel like I'm going to be repeating myself here at about the same moment as I did in the last game, but I still feel like for Texas Arlington, if they want to have more success on the offense, it's got to be Adverse. To have Adverse be that man on the ball, whether it's breaking through the midfield or the man to shoot it. He really is a driver for this team, and he was a bit quiet in the last game.
Definitely struggled to find opportunities to be uncontested with time and space to work with, but Samba forcing that Texas Tech offense all the way back onto their own half is a great push from Texas Arlington. Adverse just misses the demo on Khan, and Samba seeing if he can come up with another solid defensive effort. Over his shoulder, now Adverse in command. Space Kitten wisely taking it back onto his own half. Genghis first to it. He will make a big block. And that Texas Tech defense, Flashosaurus lifted forward. Samba is going to need a lot of help if this is going to be a goal, and pinched all the way out into open space. Khan doesn't get the best touch, and again, Genghis playing a big midfield role. Couple of big stops as Adverse keeps the pressure going for Texas Arlington. Some great pressure being built. No offensive goal scoring chances. Pass to Samba, looking for Genghis, and he got too far past the ball, and a squandered opportunity. You felt like something was there, and Adverse muscles Space Kitten off the ball to regain possession.
Yeah, it got a little dicey for UTA on the offensive side of things, but here's a pass back over to Samba. Can he finish, follow it up? He tried, and Genghis is there to put it away, and Texas Arlington on the board first.
Great play here. Adverse wins the ball. A little bit of a fortunate touch from Samba, but then continues the play, gets the bump on Space Kitten, leaves the door wide open, and Texas Arlington, rightfully so, you feel like, finally on the board and first here in game 2.
Took them 6 shots, and Texas Tech, we sung their praises last game, especially the last 3 or 4 minutes now in this game, haven't even generated a single shot, and it feels like Texas Arlington have cranked it up to another level where it's maybe a bit out of reach for Texas Tech as far as pacing.
We have still half a game to play. Khan cuts through one. He's got just Genghis to beat. He's been a tough player to get it past and gives up his body for a great save to keep the lead at 1 for the Mavericks. Adverse out of the corner. Hard skip. Samba's able to react and get there. 2-0 Texas Arlington.
That was some great reaction from Samba. How fast this ball came across the net. You feel like he might have skied it. Great finesse. The backflip was actually a great choice there. You don't get a lot of power with that backflip into the ball. And so it controls it just enough to put into the net. If you had flipped forward, you might have just chucked it straight into the crossbar.
Off the bar. We get a lot of that here in CRL, that's for sure.
They're learning it, Chiefs. They're learning.
Samba with great command. 2-0 lead in Game 2 for the Mavericks. We'll see if they expand it or if, again, Texas Tech able to find a rally. Khan lifting one up for Spaceman. No double tap opportunity. Big miss. Open net. Flashosaurus will indeed cut them down to size. Only one separates them.
Low boost for Adverse. Yeah, had nothing. It had one pad to get up to the ball, and I think he knew that he was beat. Even still going for it, he felt like he had to, and I don't blame him because that ball was coming down so dangerously. And unfortunately, the boost game got the better of him.
Samba. Some success off the kickoff, but Texas Arlington trying to stretch themselves a little thin. You feel like Adverse having to make a very awkward approach. Again, blasted off that backboard this time around. The defense able to reach it, though. Adverse a little delayed getting to it. Flashosaurus trying to pick his moment here at the top of the box. Khan is not quite able to get it out to him cleanly. And Texas Tech gonna have to fall back and wait and see what Adverse does. Finally, Adverse on a dribble. There's a demo from Samba. There he picks up the 100 pad out into the middle. Samba gets too far behind it. An awkward ball to read as it went straight out to him instead of across the goal.
And again, a boost game for Adverse. He was trying to get that one over to Samba, but he didn't have any boost to catch up to the ball, so he went to the corner, and unfortunately the pass was just a bit too hard to deal with for Samba that time. Still, UTA sitting in the lead here and threatening once again. Space Kitten having to play that one out of his own box, and again, UTA now forced to recollect as it goes back to their own corner.
Texas Arlington really threatening a lot of these goal line demos as Flashosaurus pulls one out of his own. Khan is overcommitted, though, and that means the Red Raiders going to have to back off here. Just a little too over-aggressive, maybe getting antsy with under a minute to play in a 1-goal deficit. Adverse pops it through 2. This is free, and indeed he will turn it in off Space Kitten's nose. 3-1, and that should secure Game 2.
I was having flashbacks to Northeastern earlier in the day, and Adverse does get the touch, puts it down, and with 39 seconds left, gets a bit of cushion for his Texas Arlington team. As Texas Tech, now they've been able to put up 5 shots, but boy, they have come late in this game, and not a lot of them are very memorable here. While things have been a bit wonky from Texas Arlington, they have definitely put on the offense in a more threatening manner here in this game.
It's really all those demos that they get right along that back wall, making that defense really hesitate here in this game too, to me has been the difference. And combine that with a couple of chances that certainly weren't guaranteed to be high percentage opportunities for Texas Tech, but you definitely felt like they had the opportunity to at least build some pressure or get something going, and just a little bit too aggressive in some spots. And not to mention the fact that Samba, I think, made a couple of big clears, and Genghis was tough enough in his own right to beat in the challenge game here in Game 2 also leads a couple more points in favor of Texas Arlington. So I really do think the numbers actually tell a pretty decent story here of this Game 2 overall.
Yeah, Adverse and Samba being the big shooters on UTA is definitely where you want to be if you're Texas Arlington. I mean, those are the guys that you want on the ball. Not that Genghis can't do it, but those are the guys that have always been the offense for UTA. On the other side of things for Texas Tech, again, as I said before, it felt like that those shots came late in this game, and they weren't as threatening as they could have been, and that's credit to Texas Arlington. They did pick up the pace, but Texas Arlington did get caught out a few times from Texas Tech. Yeah. The boost game was definitely a struggle for UTA, even though they had commanded the game for most of the time. So I think for Texas Tech, you really have to go back to what you did in the first game, which was the boost game the full control of Boost in the final third is really where I feel like they will shine. Because Texas Arlington, they get a little bit frustrated when they don't get the right touch. I've seen Samba a few times just stop playing for a second because he had whiffed the ball. And yeah, you know, that emotions can run high sometimes, and it's the most frustrating thing in Rocket League is to play a team that is just suffocating you for 5 minutes straight.
Oh, well, here's a good chance, but Adverse doesn't have boost. Samba's all alone. Hard kick into the middle, and Genghis, the only one there to receive it. And you say command the boost in the final third, but before you get there, gotta break out of your own half, as right now it's Adverse into the middle. Samba's not going to be able to reach this one. Wisely not trying to shoot it. Good thing not to do too much there. Just keep the pressure on, let Genghis rotate through and see if something new happens. And that is an underappreciated approach to offense, I think, for a lot of players. It's so easy to feel I'm right next to the net, I need to try and score this, but honestly, catch the ball, set it up again, because you're not going to get any power on that shot. And Samba with a very mature approach. Space Kitten into the middle, free ball for Flashosaurus. Genghis gets scared, jumps early, expects a ball that is gonna be pummeled at him, and instead it just goes right in under the wheels.
And to be fair, I think he was expecting a bit more power behind that shot, but reacting a bit too early, and Flashosaurus sneaks it under him. And unfortunately for Genghis, you know, I can't blame him too much, but at the end of the day, pre-jumping isn't going to save you, and now Space Kitten puts one away to left side.
Well, this one just snuck right on through, didn't it? I mean, Adverse goes back for boost, and Genghis has to stretch all the way from that back corner, while Space Kitten, he's just hovering, letting that ball come right back to him with a handful of boost to work with. Turns it into a banger of a goal.
Power of the sweet spot there. Getting that power behind it. Now you sit 2 up for Texas Tech, and you're feeling quite good about yourself, but you still have a lot of time left, and here comes UTA.
Oh, mama. Oh, Samba pulled off and left it for Genghis. And Genghis maybe feeling a little crowded there, not able to get all the way around the ball and put them back into a competitive spot. Adverse, not really an open net, kind of just hoping against hope there. This one popped high, and Red Raiders comfortably with a 2-0 lead and just over half the game left. Here's the time where you really can demonstrate the sound fundamentals of defense. Genghis to Samba. What a beautiful play combining Adverse, but he misses the bump, and Flashosaurus is able to make the stop.
That was so close for Texas Arlington, and for Texas Tech, you really can't afford that space as they march down the field to have an opportunity, but now they got to get back on defense as the counterattack's on. There's a great stop by Flashosaurus.
And again, those demos on the goal line from Texas Arlington running havoc along the lines of the Red Raiders, as Khan just fighting for the ball in his own corner. Flashosaurus first to it. Adverse with great timing, though, is going to go ahead and steal away that opposite corner boost and continue to try and starve out this Texas Tech team. Ball into the middle, Genghis for Samba. Nice tip down to try and keep it away, and that is not the pinch Adverse wanted to see, and that will lose possession here. And actually, Space Kitten trying to take some extra time ended up allowing the ball back into his own half as Samba pokes one towards the net. Nobody can reach it, and 1 goal back for Texas Arlington.
Yeah, everyone pushed to the left side of the field from Texas Tech. Samba throws it to the left side of the net, and unfortunately for Texas Tech, nobody was able to get back in time. I don't think they expected Samba to have such good precision on the ball. But unfortunately for Texas Tech, not spread out enough. Everyone kind of migrated towards that side of the field, but they might get one back here. Big save from Samba as he's got to get another touch, and he does, but with no boost, gives it up to Khan.
Mavericks need to be careful they don't double commit too many more times like that on the goal line. You get one pinch that goes the wrong way, and suddenly you're not in position to handle a play. Khan with a weak touch. This one dribbling out into the middle. Space Kitten should have no problem, but the Mavericks are going to be set up however they like. Off the backboard, Flashosaurus already up there. Genghis dove so early. Perhaps not fully aware of where the defense was set up, but not realizing that they had no shot there. But no trouble one way or the other. Texas Arlington continuing to set up the tent here in the midfield, but again, Genghis with a big double commit. That is not what you want to see when you need to score a goal. Going for a little mind game there, but Flashosaurus doesn't bite, and only 50 seconds remaining. Texas Arlington need to keep their cool.
They do, and for Texas Tech, the quality of the clear is degrading as they've gotten deeper into this game, and they're lucky that Texas Arlington is struggling to find the back of the net. Samba's 1 for 6. The other two are 0 for 2. This could be it, a good demo. Unfortunately, it's going to be Samba who actually clears it down the field. It was a good idea. With 30 seconds left, the Mavericks need something.
There's more demos. Adverse misses the ball, and Khan just bombs it away into the opposite corner. Samba wisely going to leave the boost for Genghis so he can try and make a play on this ball. Space Kitten, again, there's a little bit of a subpar clear. Adverse over the head of everyone. Khan is all alone on defense. He just needs to make this block. Genghis, if he can get this into the midfield, it's going to take one extra skip. Samba, how do you handle this? It's too far out of reach. Texas Tech will take game 3.
Yeah, and this was a very solid win, a very hard-fought win from Texas Tech. You go up quickly, 2-0 here in this game, but then you basically play defense for the majority after scoring those 2 goals, and it felt like Texas Arlington had plenty of shots and chances here to at least tie it up, let alone win it. But for Texas Tech, it's good to get those initial chances, but I think for them, going back to the point that I was making before, is the quality of clear was certainly going down, and it felt like UTA were slowly starting to take advantage. You were seeing Texas Tech more and more getting wrapped up in their own corners. The one-touch clear that lands straight into the Mavericks' lap. You just can't afford those free possessions to Texas Arlington. They will rip you apart. They will put on chances. And for Texas Tech, if they can clean that up, they'll have a much cleaner win here if they can get the lead.
Can't afford it, but get away with it, and they are just fine with that. A win is a win, and Game 4 about to be underway, and a must-win scenario now for Texas Arlington, who, like you said, felt like they put together a lot of pretty solid looks on goal. Just unfortunately for them, could not turn it in to a big win, but Flashosaurus is going to start us off with a bang here. And that is not what you like to see if you're on that Mavericks roster.
Yeah, no, it's quite confusing because Samba never got up to the ball or, came up to make a challenge. And, of course, he was playing with his back turned. But, unfortunately, for the Texas Arlington side, that was kind of a free shot for Flashosaurus, uncontested, really. And, again, Texas Tech come out on top early. It will be up to them now to hold on to that lead once more. They got a lot of time left.
Need that quick rally, and Genghis able to make a big diving stop. Samba is just going to get rid of it. Kick that ball all the way down to the other side, and a big miss from Khan, but Adverse expecting Samba to get his hands on the ball. Adverse having to play a very delicate game of car control and finesse as Flashosaurus finds himself in an awkward spot. Adverse trying to deny boost in the corner. As again, Texas Arlington looking to set up the campfire here in the midfield as a double commit, but that is a well-cleared ball, and Genghis is struggling to get it back into a scoreable spot, and Khan able to stick with it after making that first clear. The defense playing quite well here for Texas Tech.
Yeah, but certainly being tested at the same time. They have to play a lot of backboard defense. They're using a lot of boosts. You're seeing Texas Arlington take away a lot of the corner boosts as well. So Texas Tech is doing a lot with a little right now.
Samba takes his extra time there, popped into the middle. Space Kitten, a little hesitation because he wasn't sure if someone was already on top of it. Genghis trying to get out in front. Space Kitten, great tip over one. Flashosaurus is well and truly beat. Looking for Samba is Adverse straight down from the top of the box. Genghis leaves it for Adverse off the backboard. Here comes Samba, top right side, wants the bump, misses Space Kitten, and the clear will get there for the Red Raiders. And Texas Arlington starting to get real frustrated. It's open back the other way off the wall. Khan misses the shot. Samba diving across as this is punted towards the top right corner. Genghis with a clear and an insane back and forth here.
Well, I mean, we could start on the Texas Tech side. Texas Arlington had a great opportunity to break the defense, and here's Samba again bullying players out of the way. The boost scheme is certainly in their favor as they are just all over the Raiders side of the field. They do break out eventually, and maybe another chance now for Texas Tech, and they will find their 2-goal lead once again.
And Genghis caught in a tight spot here on the goal line. He's really hoping Adverse gets a hand on the ball because he cuts forward and then sees it's a pass, and unfortunately he's just slightly too far forward, not far enough back to be able to make the adjustment with the speed of that ball shot at him. Gets over his head and a 2-0 lead. And again, at that halfway point, Texas Arlington find themselves in a tough position to handle.
I don't think you have to play the game a lot to understand and realize that Texas Arlington were definitely pushing hard for their opportunity at the Texas Tech net, and those counterattacks are going to be oh so deadly to them as they continue in this game. While Texas Tech are certainly giving up a lot of space, they are finding the space behind those last men as Adverse finds the space behind the defenders and takes one back.
Well, hello, Adverse. That boost spawned at a very opportune time, allowed him to just turn right back around and beat both defenders trying to dismount off that backboard. And some nice shots given to him by the Texas Tech squad. Respect the speed and aggression to beat them to the ball, and that is one back in favor if you're a Mavericks fan, but you need one more to go, and Adverse not uncontested here.
Great
Khan
pass.
just putting the pressure on him, looking for Samba, and how about putting that one on a dime?
I told you this is a guy to look out for on Texas Arlington. Look at the vision to pass this one over to Samba, and boy, that pass was on the money. Samba couldn't have dreamed for a better pass. Perfectly set up, hit with the right pace as well, so he can just knock it into the net. We're all tied up.
And it's ironic that both of the Texas Arlington goals they've scored have come with no assistance from demos. They've been going for a bunch of them here in the last game and this one. The two goals they score are a product of speed and a quality read and a great pass. Khan with a big win.
beat.
Adverse in a bad spot. Flashosaurus will turn it in off the post. Adverse, again, just like Genghis earlier, one step too far.
Oh, man.
And couldn't make the recovery.
And he just wasn't expecting the dunk from Khan. He thought his teammate was going to win that challenge, and unfortunately took a pretty nasty bounce open over his head. And great follow-up from Flashosaurus, realizing that that last defender was in a really tough spot. And now they find themselves back up a point. Again, it's up to the Raiders here to hang on. They have had the lead for most of this game. And now they're looking to build upon it, but maybe only for a moment as, again, UTA getting those demos.
They're getting those demos, and I wanted to talk about it a little earlier, but now seems as good a time as any. Actually, no, it's a terrible time. Space Kitten looking for Khan in the midfield. The defense on the backboard here for Texas Arlington. Adverse is expecting someone to go up towards the backboard off the top center where no one is. He is not expecting that long shot to the back post with a decent bit of pace on it, because that is a well-placed shot for what the defense was expecting.
And UTA kind of vacated their own net there. Felt very strange to watch because Texas Tech, they kind of get these little half chances that UTA, unfortunately, kind of throw away.
Angus was playing the block there. Did not think that Adverse was going to be able to get the bump on the goal line. And if Genghis had just straight shot the ball, it would have been a goal. Adverse looking to try and continue and do it all himself. Khan with a weak touch. Samba, huge miss, but it's okay. Genghis to Adverse towards the backboard. Space Kitten straight up. And only 30 seconds left. Passing to the middle. They missed it on the Raiders' side, and the Mavericks collect another one.
And this one really just coming off the miss from Texas Tech. Samba had to wait. He couldn't get to that ball initially. And the big whiff let Samba have a second chance at it. Now with 31 seconds, can the Mavericks claw back into this one?
You go for one on a prayer, and it gets answered. Samba goes up saying, please miss. And indeed they do, and they give themselves one final chance here with 20 seconds. Genghis just able to beat out Flashosaurus. Double tap here from Adverse with a strange catch and trying to get back to it on the wall, but an awkward approach here from Texas Arlington. Just nobody really in a good spot to get a strong touch on the ball, and now they got to go in the air. Samba's with a great mind game, but he can't get back to it.
Oh my goodness.
And Texas Tech will knock off Texas Arlington.
Wow, and huge credit to Texas Tech because, boy, they had to play a lot of defense. They had to feel a lot of pressure from UTA, and I think that's pretty much how UTA will play just about anyone here in this conference. They will put on a lot of pressure. Unfortunately, I think for the Mavericks, they were their own worst enemy here tonight. They had a lot of opportunity in every single one of these games. And when you go back to the tape, I mean, I'm just running through my mind thinking about all the opportunities that they had. If they had just completed half of them, they would have been a much better spot here in some of these games and at least have gotten themselves to an overtime.
Yeah, a lot of good opportunities and some chances on net, but just not able to quite convert them. And that is the nature of the beast at the collegiate level. Fantastic players, but not perfect. And unfortunately, tonight they needed to beat a team like Texas Tech. And well played to the Red Raiders, a well-deserved win here in the column for them. And unfortunately for Texas Arlington, long-standing team here, going to have to look for a dub somewhere else. So when we come back, we will continue with more of the Collegiate Rocket League 2020 fall season. We'll be right back.